And sometimes Bailey will be like, no, Beck, that's too risky. Like, but I'm going to do it whether you do it with me or not. So we're doing it or not. Like having that support person there, I find is super important. What would you say your favorite part about being in a relationship with Alex is?
Oh, I think it's the same. Like having that person you can tell everything to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know that if you're telling me something, you're not just telling me, you're telling my husband too. Because,
Yeah.
he'll.
We are two Leos fueled by coffee and driven by love.
I'm Bec, business owner, entrepreneur, and personal development coach. Now, as my life turned upside down 5 years ago when I was diagnosed with a terminal illness, that's when I learned to master mindset, to break free, and to break the prognosis I was given. Here I am, joined with my absolutely amazing and beautiful co-founder, mastering our mindsets together.
Hey, I'm Tanya, business owner, personal development coach, mommy of 4 gorgeous daughters, my reason to live, so that I can give them a life filled with positivity, inner peace, and so much love. Not only am I here to teach my girls, but we wish that our knowledge can be of value to all of you.
So, welcome.
Welcome to another episode of Light Up and Roar, where we are two Leos fueled with coffee and driven by love. Hi, my Bec. I'm so happy to be
Hello. Been
How
so
are
long.
you? I know. How are you?
I'm really, really good. How are you?
Good. Excited. I love this topic.
Yes, I love this topic so much as well. And today we're talking to you guys about the 5 love languages. Now, we're talking to you guys about it today and explaining what they are in particular, because this is one of the most important principles to understand within a relationship. I didn't know it was even a thing until I learned about the 5 love languages. I read a book on it. I really studied what each individual love language is. And this can enhance your relationship. In times we have seen it save people's marriages. T, did you want to go over a little bit about what are the 5 love languages? Or go over the first one?
Okay. Do you want me to go over like the 5 main, like what they are, and then we can describe
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the 5 languages is receiving gifts, right? So for many, gifts can be a way to express love or feel loved. Words of affirmation is another one, acts of service, and quality time. Those are the 5 love languages.
And I feel like they're all so important. Like they're all just as valuable and mean as much as each other.
Yeah, especially because you may not like have all of them. Like it's just main 2. I mean, mainly 2 can be what for you is what makes you feel loved, and for your partner, they can be completely different. So it's never the same. I know for me and Alex, they're not the same.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
but it's very important to know which love language is the one of your partner and yours to be um, sure of what it is so that you can fulfill those. So they're very
Yeah,
important. You want to
100%.
go
And
over,
understanding
yeah.
exactly what each one means, and that it's not just what the title says. So, like you just mentioned, I'll go over an example of each for you guys and just break it down into what this can mean. And while we're talking about it, I want you to sit there and first analyze to yourselves, like, what love language am I? And discover what love language you may be 1, you may be 2, or you may be all of them in a certain way. But sit there and really think, what am I? And then think about it for your partner or for another loved one who you're close with. So, sorry about that. I went on a bit of a tangent, but now let me explain. So, receiving gifts. You're big on receiving love by receiving a gift. If someone buys you a gift, you feel loved. So, not so much your birthday or Christmas or whatever it is, but if you're in a relationship and your partner comes home with a gift they've bought you that day, like it might be a chocolate or it might be the latest purse, you feel loved. you feel, oh my God, he loves me so much. And that is completely okay. While I'm sharing these examples, I want you guys to know that it is 100% okay, whatever your love language is. If it is receiving gifts, that is your love language, and never, ever be ashamed of that. So the next example is physical touch. You feel love by being touched. Simple things like a back rub, your leg being held while you're driving. It's all a part of your love language. So I know for myself, if I'm sitting in the same room as Bailey for quite a bit of time, or we're at the table together or something, like I'll sit there for a good maybe 15 minutes before I'm like, and have to touch him just because I don't know why. But one of my love languages is definitely physical touch.
Maybe it's a Leo thing, because it's mine too. It's one.
Like, it's just,
I love it. Yeah, I love when Alex just comes and like kisses me on the forehead, or just touches my neck, or my arm. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm like, oh, he loves me.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. And I find like my hair being rubbed while I'm falling asleep, best feeling in the world. Like, it beats chicken nuggets. So words of affirmation. An example for this, guys, is you thrive off being told how beautiful you are, how much someone loves you, or that you are someone's whole entire world. And that's me. Again, I love when someone tells me not so much how beautiful you are or whatnot, but I love when someone tells me, I'm so proud of you. Those words just hit something different. And if you sit there and say, I'm so proud of you, prepared to be my friend for life, because I attach to you like no tomorrow. The acts of service. You feel the most love when someone does something for you to help you out. Now, this is a big one. It's not one of my love languages, but I certainly know it's one of Bailey's.
It's one of mine too. Bailey's a Leo.
Yeah, Bailey's a Leo.
I love it. For example, Alex will usually leave like coffee ready for me every morning, and when we wake up together,
I do love that. Yeah,
he'll fix my coffee. You know, like for me, that's, or a clean kitchen, right? If I've had a rough day and he decides to just leave it clean for me to wake up to a clean kitchen, like, that just, it means the world to me, because I know he's thinking of me, you know. So that's definitely one.
It's so important for you to recognize that as well, because that then brings you around on another thing that we preach is gratitude, because you're constantly grateful and he knows that you're grateful for that, which is so important. And our last one, like Tanya just explained, on that one, the example being doing the dishes, making a coffee, the small acts of service. So quality time, this one, it just speaks for itself in a way with the example, but you feel most love when someone offers to spend time with you and make it all about the two of you. Now, this is another one of my love languages. I just feel when I have quality time with somebody that I just feel so loved. I just feel like you've taken this time out of your day to spend with me. Like, that to me is so important. And I know for Bailey, that's one of his love languages as well. So every Sunday, we started making a ritual where we do self-care Sunday together. We put on a face mask, and every Sunday it's different. Some Sundays we'll sit by the fire. Some Sundays we'll just sit there and inside and have a wine with our face masks on. We'll have a coffee with our face mask. It differs every Sunday, but every single Sunday, whether it's for an hour or whether it's for 3 hours, we make sure we dedicate at least half an hour together, which I find so important, because when you're working, as you know, T, when you're working, you're homeschooling. I don't homeschool, but I know you do. You just all week are so focused on what you do for a job or what you're doing at home that it's just like, oh, okay, let's just breathe.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that you two do that. And I think it's very important to ask your partner, you know, to describe these to them. And I remember the first time I did with Alex, he was like looking at me and just thinking, and he knew right away which one was mine, like the physical touch. He knew that was one of mine. So it's nice to know that he has an idea, but just to confirm that and to make sure that we keep feeding that and keep nourishing those love languages for each other, I think is super important. So it's definitely an important conversation to have with your partner, and it'll make it, it'll just strengthen the bond. And I love it. I think it's super important.
Yeah, totally. And that's so powerful that Bailey and Alex both knew what our love language was without having to go through like the steps of working it out. I find females, we overcomplicate our feelings so much some days. And like for myself, when I was trying to work out my own love language, I was like, what even is it? What do I like? What do I want? And I had to actually do the test in the book to work out what my love language was. But the biggest question, I guess, T, that I want you to share with the audience, and I'll touch on as well after you've spoken about it, is after getting to know and understand the 5 love languages, do you feel like you understand your loved ones better? So not just Alex, but your children as well. And how?
So much
like, how do
Yeah.
you feel that? Yeah.
So I think it's so much, you do understand them so much better, because sometimes you think that your love language is their love language, and it's not like that. I mean, it takes, communication to know that what makes you feel loved is not what makes them feel loved. So have that knowledge and to apply it, which is super important. One thing is to know it, but the other thing is to apply it, and apply it in a way where you will make them feel loved. I think that adds to the relationship and the growth that you'll have within the people that you love the most. So it's super important.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you think your children adapted to it? So like, you obviously know what your love languages are. How do you feel you could apply the 5 love languages to your girls as well? Because I know you've got 2 older girls and 2 younger girls. How did you differentiate applying that to those as well, those relationships?
Well, it depends, because they're so different, but so alike. So for all of them, I can for sure tell you that it's physical touch, like me hugging and kissing them. Like, they can't get enough. Like, you know what I mean?
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, they'll be walking by, and I just throw them a kiss, and they'll throw it right back at me, or they'll just go like, me, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
we all 4 of us thrive off of that. But we've been most of their life, like, I've been so focused on always expressing love to them, that I for sure know that that's one of theirs for all of them. But it is different for each of them, the other ones, and it's just making sure that those are fulfilled, so that they feel loved and they feel significant, in your life. So definitely.
Yeah, and like,
Yeah.
we don't have kids. Bailey and I, as you know, don't have children, but I feel like
You have both. Okay?
you and Alex have that understanding to make your children feel like this. And it's such an important thing for them to grow up feeling significant and feeling like, okay, this is what my mum and dad done to understand each other. Maybe I can apply this further down the track. I think it definitely helped mine and Bailey's relationship and understanding each other better, because once we worked out each other's love language, we realized it wasn't the materialistic things each other was looking for. And like, we were a sucker for going to the shop. Like, if I was going grocery shopping, I'd buy a chocolate or I'd buy an iced coffee, and I'd bring it home, put it in the fridge, and I'd be like, oh, I bought you this. And admittedly, yeah, we still do it on occasion, but it wasn't until we really done the test of what our love language was that we went, hang on, yes, we appreciate those things, but it's not our love language. Like, we don't care whether you get it or you don't, type of thing. So our relationship dramatically improved off learning each other's love language. It went from being young and dreading the complications, or the complications, as people say, of having a boyfriend, girlfriend, to realizing there was nothing better. And this episode was recorded at such a perfect time, and I'm a strong believer in timing. In everything happens for a reason. And only this morning, half an hour before this episode, we were literally sitting there asking each other, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but there's questions on Pinterest and you ask each other different questions. So like, what are you most afraid of? And blah, 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 to get to know your partner in a deeper level. One of the questions was, what is your favorite part about being in a relationship? And both of us instantly, like Bailey's like, just having someone there to talk to. And I was like, I think my favorite part is, in all honesty, having somebody there as a best friend, like someone that you can be like, I feel like doing this. Do you want to do it with me? And sometimes Bailey will be like, no, Beck, that's too risky. Like, but I'm going to do it whether you do it with me or not. So we're doing it or not. Like having that support person there, I find is super important. What would you say your favorite part about being in a relationship with Alex is?
Oh, I think it's the same. Like having that person you can tell everything to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know that if you're telling me something, you're not just telling me, you're telling my husband too. Because
Yeah. Yes, 100%. Yes, I feel you.
Yeah, he's the one person that I can talk about anything to, and he'll understand. He won't judge. He'll just be there. And I think I've never had that with any relationship, except for you and like girlfriends, you know.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's different with girls. It's like that code where girls go deep into everything, emotions and everything. But to have that with a partner, with a man, I think I've never had that before. So to be able to have that with my husband, it's just a blessing in itself. And I think it also pans out like a great example for my girls of a relationship to have and to look for once they start dating and all of that. So just respect and being best friends, being friends with the person that you can be yourself with, and not have to put up a front and just be your full self always. um, you know that it's rare. You can't always be yourself with a lot of people. So to have that every single day, I think it's just amazing.
Yeah,
I love that.
exactly. I feel like, as I've already told you in the past, Bailey and I's relationship was actually built off being best friends first. For 7 years, we were best friends before we got into a relationship. And I find in the chaos and everything, sometimes we just need to sit there and go, hang on, we were best friends first. Now let's act like that. Like, instead of just work mode, let's do this, let's do that. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to basics of what built this relationship to begin with. And
Which is amazing. Yeah.
I think, so for all of you listening and for all of our guests that come onto this podcast weekly, my biggest tip for you guys to be able to apply this, like, I know it's all well and good to listen to us talking about it, but to be able to actually apply this is either the 5 Love Languages book is a phenomenal read if you're a reader. If not, I'm fairly sure it's on audio book as well. Or you can Google the 5 Love Languages, get what they are, or re-listen to this podcast, get what they are, and then take a test. What do I value more? And then write down, is it when someone does the dishes for me? What is that out of a 1 to 10 scale? And score it, and then add it up and work out what your love language is. But more importantly, take the time to invest in yourself and your relationship. So 15 minutes a week is all it takes. That's what Bailey and I started off with. It was just 15 minutes to have a chat while we were laying in bed. Didn't work out too well because he falls asleep at the drop of a, just like that. So that was not a relationship maker, that one right there. But in saying that, we then found other ways to make it work in spending time together on a Sunday. Did you have any tips on how our audience could apply this tea into their everyday life? So it's not just a extra thing for them. It's, okay, I can adapt this into my life easily.
Yeah. So I think like if both of you work, you know, making time and there's kids, for example, in my life, right? We have kids, and just having a schedule of when you put them to sleep that'll give you enough time to spend even 30 minutes after they've gone to sleep with your partner, I think is ideal. Um, Taking the time to like a day where you don't have anything to do the next day, early morning, and plan that out where you can like watch a movie or do something that you both enjoy when the kids are in bed and everything. So there's always time. You just need to find it, even if it's waking up like 30 minutes earlier, just the two of you, right?
Mm.
We've done that as well. You know, we've found some me time early morning, because he's morning riser anyway, and I, with the schedule I have now, I had to change everything a little bit earlier to give me my me time. So then I added our time in there as well, early mornings. So it's just finding a time that works for you, but making the effort to commit to giving that time for the both of you. So it's hard with kids, it is, but it's not impossible. So you need to prioritize, you know, and nourish that relationship, because that's the example you're giving to your kids. But yeah, I think that's
Exactly. And you're
making,
showing
yeah,
them that you're making time for each other. They might not see you get up like you do at 4 a.m. in the morning just to do
yeah,
this, but the older girls definitely know that you do
yeah.
it.
But they do see the connection and the
Yeah,
strength and bond. So definitely,
absolutely.
we're happier. You know what I mean? Like it's not just a daily routine where he's home, dinner, kids, baths.
Yeah,
I mean, and practice and all of that. I mean, they see that we're actually happy and playful, and then we joke around, and you know what I mean. So there is a lot of difference once you start applying and doing these things with each other. Definitely.
yeah, 100%. And I think the most important thing to remember as well when you're in a relationship, and it took me a while to adapt this to my relationship as well, is you always have to remember you will have your hard days, but they are what gives the relationship strength. And I was such a
Yeah.
sucker for, if I had a bad day or if Bailey and I were arguing, that's it. I can't do this anymore, blah, blah, blah attitude. And it wasn't until we both really worked on ourselves and our personal development that we went, okay, this is what gives us strength. Let's analyze what the problem is and work through this together. And it's not weak to say you're sorry. It's not weak to ask for them to apologize, because, and it comes a lot easier now. We both can identify when either one of us has to say sorry, but it took a while to get there because we're both Leos. We're both hot headed and we were both always right. Well, we still are, but we agree to disagree now. But are you, as today stands, T, and this is our last question of the episode for today, is are you, as today stands, applying the 5 love languages in your life right now?
Oh yeah, and not just with my husband, you know, with my girls, making sure that they feel loved every single day. I mean, that's what makes relationships strong, and
Yeah,
communication is key. So definitely, like you said, even on the hard days, you know,
yeah.
try, because it's so worth it. How about
Yeah,
you?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't for a long time. I stopped for a long time, but I now that I am, I wouldn't go back. Um,
Mhm.
and like you said, not just with our romantic relationships or with Bailey and Alex, but with all relationships. I try so much so that I try and guess as people come through the door at work of what their love language is. And it's so easy to tell with some people because as soon as you're like, "G'day, how you going?" They're like, "Oh my God, I'm really good, thanks." So it's just that communication. And as you know, recently your phone played up and whatnot, and we couldn't record for a while and we couldn't even communicate with each other. And like I said, I was at the point of contacting your daughters or your husband and being like, yo, where is she? Because the 5 love languages is one of mine is words of affirmation. So talking to you and spending that time together, even though we're on opposite sides of the world, was so important for me. But don't worry, I got my love back for you.
I love you.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Light Up and Raw. We really, really enjoy having you guys here listening to what we have to share, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.